Rajasthan District Court exams exercise 32 at the speed of 100 words per minute. Be ready? Start. The Hyderabad bombings on 21 February 2013 ended a spell of inactivity by terrorists and have rekindled demands for action from people who believe that this attack ended a somewhat and during period of peace. This is a myth. The country has always under attack from terrorists. It is important to understand the strategic dimensions of terrorism, without which well meaning demands for action will not only be misdirected but actually abet the aims of terrorists. Stop para. Terrorism is the strategic weapon of choice of an adversary that is weaker or chooses a covert mode of war. Decrying terrorism assuages a sense of angst but does not alter its nature. Several aims of terrorists boil down to a single purpose to exert influence for beyond conventional capability of those using this weapon. So, when Al Qaeda bombs the US forces out of Afghanistan or the Lashkar e Taiba deserves a normal life or goons prevent the screening of a film by threatening violence, they are all using a strategic weapon that projects influence far beyond their numerical strength. But for terrorism to succeed, its intended target also must respond in a dramatically disproportionate manner. The context in which these groups operate needs to be understood clearly. Stop para. India loses millions of lives each year due to preventable diseases, adulterated food, spurious medicines, pollution caused by illegal effluent discharges, and simply from the blood and this organization prevalent across its length and breadth. For instance, in 2011, the country lost 1,86,000 persons in road accidents alone, over 20 people per hour, and another half a million were wounded. Estimates by Forbes show this drained 2.7% of India's gross domestic product. In contrast, the country's health budget was a paltry 1.2% of GDP in the same period. The 2611 Mumbai attack was killed a just 166 persons in 3 days. Yet, since then, not only India but several countries have spent billions of dollars in implementing security precautions to try and prevent a Mumbai style attack. Stop para. Every time you buy a coffee in a hotel, you pay for the security apparatus put in place after the Mumbai attacks. Every time you fly, your ticket costs more to advertise the newly introduced security checks. The security industry has now become the second largest employer in India. These billions of rupees, which are diverted from developmental budgets into what is a fundamentally non productive expenditure, is the real terrorist attack in perpetuity. The aim of our adversaries is to prevent us from achieving our true economic potential, and they are succeeding splendidly simply because we don't realize that our largely economically wasteful response to terrorism is the actual attack. Stop para. The cluster of zero tolerance to terrorism is the second myth. This line in itself literally means nothing. Of course, leaders are duty bound to assuage terrified citizens, and the seriousness with which terrorism is being taken is captured to an extent in this declaration. The problem is that this goal is simply not achievable. As explained earlier, terrorism as a strategy and not an apparatus existing in isolation. There are, of course, training camps where guerrilla warfare and terrorist tactics, indoctrination, and suicide attacks are taught. But these are tactical measures and cater largely to the last mile. The characteristic of terrorism is that it leverages the very apparatuses it seeks to destroy. Terrorists use public transportation, public communication channels, commercial house is legitimate and illegitimate fund transfer methods to further their names. Consider this everyday millions of dollars worth of contraband and experience goods are smuggled in and out of India. These include various automobile parts, medicines, and fake branded watches. Stop.